My best friend of 17 years betrayed me in the most ordinary way possible, until it destroyed my entire life in one weekend. I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these Reddit confessionals at 2 a.m., with a half-empty bottle of whiskey, and my dog staring at me like even he knows I'm an idiot. But here we are. My name's Ben. I'm 34, work as a regional sales manager for a mid-sized logistics company, married or was to Sarah for 8 years. And until last month, I would have told you my best friend Ethan was closer to me than my own brother. We met in college freshman year. Same dorm floor, same stupid love for terrible late-night tacos, same dry sense of humor that got us both in trouble more times than I can count. He was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his, even though that marriage only lasted 14 months. We've been through breakups, job losses, deaths in the family, the whole damn thing. He knew where I hid the spare key. I knew the PIN to his debit card. That kind of friendship. Last year, Ethan got laid off from his marketing job. The company was restructuring. He spiraled hard. Sarah and I let him crash on our couch for 3 weeks while he figured things out. I even helped him rework his resume and made calls to a few contacts. That's what you do for family, right? By spring, he had a new gig at a small digital agency. Things were looking up. He started dating this girl named Mia, who seemed nice enough, if a little quiet. Sarah and I double-dated with them. We grilled in the backyard, played board games, the usual adult friend group stuff. Life felt stable. Then came the business idea. It started as one of those 11 p.m. conversations on my back porch. I'd been frustrated with how hard it was for regular people to find reliable local contractors for home repairs. Plumbers, electricians, roofers who wouldn't ghost you or overcharge. I'd been burned twice on our own house. Ethan lit up when I mentioned it. We started brainstorming, an app that verified contractors with real reviews, background checks, photo proof of past jobs, and a built-in escrow payment system so nobody gets screwed. We called it SolidFix. It was stupidly simple, but we both knew it could work. Ethan had the marketing and tech connections. I had some savings and sales experience. We agreed to go 50-50, nights and weekends only. No pressure. For 6 months, we poured everything into it. I'd come home from work, eat dinner with Sarah, then hop on a call with Ethan until midnight. Sarah was incredibly supportive. She even helped design the logo and did some copywriting. Ethan kept saying things like, "Bro, this is going to change everything for us." I believed him. 2 weeks ago, we had our first real investor meeting lined up. A guy Ethan knew through his agency, who had angel invested in a couple of apps before. I was nervous as hell. I practiced my pitch in the mirror like a loser. Sarah made me coffee and told me I'd crush it. The night before the meeting, Ethan texted me, "Hey man, the investor wants to meet one-on-one first to keep it casual. I'll handle it and loop you in tomorrow. Don't stress." I thought it was weird, but Ethan had always been the smoother talker. I trusted him. The next day, I didn't hear from him until 7 p.m. When he finally called, his voice was off. "Ben, it didn't go great. The guy passed. Said the idea was solid, but the market timing was wrong. I'm really sorry." I was crushed. We'd put in so many hours. I told him it was okay, we'd pivot, maybe bootstrap it ourselves. He said he needed a couple days to clear his head and went radio silent. That weekend, Sarah said she was going to visit her sister 2 hours away. Her sister had just had a baby and needed help. Normal stuff. I stayed home with the dog and tried to work on SolidFix alone. Saturday night around 10 p.m. I got a weird Venmo notification. Someone had sent me $250 with the note. "Thanks for the intro. Looking forward to building this." I didn't recognize the name. I texted Ethan, "Dude, who is this?" No reply. I started digging through our shared Google Drive for the pitch deck. It was gone. The folder was empty except for one new file, a PDF of the deck. But my name had been removed from everywhere. It now listed Ethan as sole founder and Sarah as creative consultant. My stomach dropped. I called Sarah, straight to voicemail, called again, nothing. Then I did what any sane person would do in 2025. I checked the Find My app. Her phone was pinging at a boutique hotel 40 minutes away, not at her sister's. I drove there like a maniac, heart hammering. I didn't even know what I was going to say. When I got to the front desk and described her, the clerk got uncomfortable, but confirmed a couple matching that description had checked in under Ethan's last name. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes shaking. Then I called Ethan. He answered on the third ring, sounding sleepy. Ben, it's late, man. What's up? I told him exactly where I was. There was a long silence. Then he sighed like I was the one being unreasonable. Look, it just happened, okay? Sarah and I have been talking a lot lately. She's felt lonely. You've been obsessed with the app, work, all that. We connected. I didn't plan for this. I actually laughed because the absurdity hit me. And the investor meeting? I asked. Another pause. The guy loved it. We're moving forward. He's putting in $80K seed. Sarah's helping with branding. We were going to tell you, eventually. We thought it would be better if you had time to process everything. I asked about the money I'd already put in. $11,400 of my savings for development, legal, everything. He had the nerve to say, "We'll figure out a fair split later, bro. This doesn't have to be ugly." I hung up. Then I sat there in the dark parking lot until security knocked on my window and told me I had to leave. I drove home at 3 a.m. and packed a bag for myself and the dog. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter with a note that just said, "I know." The next 48 hours were a blur of lawyers, frozen bank accounts, and discovering that Ethan had already registered SolidFix as an LLC in his name only 2 weeks earlier. He'd used my social security number, which I'd given him for the original filing, on some of the early paperwork before swapping it out. The investor thought I was never part of it. Sarah came home Monday afternoon looking like she hadn't slept. She cried and said it just happened, and that she still loved me. But things had changed. She admitted Ethan had been telling her for months that I was holding her back, that I was too risk-averse, that he was the one with vision. He'd shown her fake screenshots of our finances looking worse than they were. The craziest part? They genuinely thought they were the victims in this story, that I was the angry, controlling husband standing in the way of their once-in-a-lifetime connection and business success. I'm now staying with my actual brother. I've lawyered up. The app is probably dead for me, but the betrayal, that's what's going to stick for the rest of my life. Here's what kills me the most. It wasn't some movie villain master plan. It was small choices every single day. The extra texts, the jokes about how I was always working, the little lies that snowballed. Two people I trusted most in the world slowly deciding I was expendable because it was convenient and exciting. Ethan texted me yesterday. "I hope one day you can forgive us. We never wanted to hurt you." I haven't replied. If you're reading this and you have a best friend who feels like family, watch the small things. The way they talk about your partner when they're not around. The way they encourage your dreams but always position themselves as the main character. Sometimes the most dangerous betrayals aren't loud. They're quiet, familiar, and dressed up as friendship. I'll update if anything dramatic happens with the legal stuff. Right now I'm just trying to remember who the hell I am without the two people I built my adult life around. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. Ben.